Shalom, family. It's good to see you all again. Hope you're doing well. Shalom to everybody in the chat. Listen, there are more and more people that are unemployed for long periods of time because they can't find work. They're sending out hundreds of resumes and filling out applications and either never hear anything or they get interviewed and they're not getting the job. Now, it may seem like this is something recent. Actually, it isn't. This has been going on for the last several years. It began during the time we were locked down in 2021. And from that point on, believe it or not, it never got better. It never, ever got better. People were applying for work back in 2021 and putting in hundreds of applications just to get no call back, no interview, no nothing. And it just snowballed from there. Now it's even worse than ever before. And you're seeing more and more people, usually in times when the economy is not doing well, they'll lay a lot of our people off and keep, them folks will keep each other working. Well, they can't even do that anymore. And the reason why it was so bad during the lockdown is because when everybody was sent home, folks lost their businesses, people lost their jobs. A lot of people did not return back to their place of employment prior to the lockdown. And many of them, you're running into people now that are telling you they've been unemployed for 2 years, 1 year, since the beginning of this year, and they can't find work, and it never been bad for them folks, but it is bad for them now. So, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. But, usually when you have a recession or even a depression, the job market usually is one of the things that tank first. And you'll see the job market is really slowing down. It's at a crawl now in America. So, there are some economists and analysts out here that said the recession actually started a year ago, but your politicians won't admit it because you know how it is. You got a Republican president, and they don't want to take responsibility for it. And of course, the Democrats don't want to take responsibility. So, what they do now is both sides won't say nothing if there is a depression or recession going on. They just stay quiet about it instead of telling the public. All right, so let's get started.
United States has recently just hit a record low, and it's not good. There are officially now more people unemployed than there are job openings. This isn't good, like at all. Especially those of you guys that are looking for a remote job, because this is telling me that yeah, they're becoming non-existent. There are 7.23 million people unemployed, and there's only 7.18 million job openings. And half of those jobs, I guarantee you, are fraudulent. The unemployment rate is just going to continue to rise. Right now, it is at 4.3%. So, in this situation, you have two options, okay? The first option is continue to just apply to more jobs as much as possible and make that your full time job, because that's what it's about to end up being. but you're just not getting paid for it. Or the second option is you can join us for our 5-star workshop teaching people how to create income online based off of your skill sets. And we've had customers get results literally after 3 days. Literally. If this is your first time seeing my face, my name is Nasir. I'm a traveler currently living here in Mexico, but also a branding and marketing strategist and an entrepreneur, and I have been for years making income online in multiple different ways. And in my workshop, I'm literally going to help you identify what skill sets that you have, then pair those with multiple ways to create income online, and then how to create an offer and market that so that you're making money and you don't have to rely on a remote job. And this unemployment thing won't apply to you because you are making things happen for yourself. And we've had great review after great review after great review after great review. So you can sit there and just feel stuck and be stuck, or you can take control of your life and join our workshop so that you're actually being able to create income online, so that you can travel the world, move abroad, connect with different people and cultures, and really experience reality and not have to rely on these remote jobs that are literally becoming non-existent. So if you are serious about wanting to create income online, you're not just talking or being a victim and being like, oh my gosh, I don't have a job and I can't go, you should be at our workshop. Definitely should be at our workshop. Very, very worth it. And it's not just coming from me. It's also coming from people who have attended. Over 65 people have already attended in the last month. So save your seat to the workshop. We have a few spots for our workshop tomorrow, and then we have a few dates coming up as well. So I can't wait to see you there.
Americans are unemployed, at least according to the new BLS data that shows that we added 1 million fewer jobs than previously reported, which anybody that's trying to break into the job market would tell you, yeah, that sounds about right. And the reason for this is likely because companies are increasingly replacing entry-level jobs with artificial intelligence. Of course, the White House will tell you that Biden is the problem, even though he hasn't been in the White House for 8 months, and unemployment is still rising faster under Donald Trump's presidency. For those of you that have been paying attention, this shouldn't surprise you at all, because going all the way back to the inauguration, tech bros have been everywhere in this presidency. In fact, even 4 days ago, the president held a sort of AI summit at the White House. So this is likely what they want anyways, placing humans with robots in whatever way possible because, well, that would mean more profits, right? I think we're heading towards a very deep economic crisis thanks to the likes of AI and mismanagement of the economy via tariffs. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below and follow me to stay in the loop.
Okay, look, nearly 2 million Americans are on unemployment right now, and that's the highest it's been since the pandemic in 2021. But why is this happening now? Let me break it down in 2025. One reason I found is that jobs aren't lasting. Now, a lot of people are actually finding work, but the jobs don't stick. So layoffs and short contracts mean people are back to filing claims. 2, high cost of living. Even if you get a job, if it doesn't pay enough to survive, people leave that job and they end right back up in the unemployment line again. 3, shifting industries. Tech, retail, and even delivery services. They're downsizing. They're becoming automated, leaving people without long-term security. And they're in that unemployment line as well. 4, delayed hiring. I guess these jobs are being what they like to call cautious. And instead of hiring people where they need them, they're stretching the workforce that they already have. 5, more people relying on benefits. The fact that there is still 2 million people collecting checks, that shows how hard it is to find a job out here. It's taking longer to find those jobs too. So is this just the economy balancing out, or is it a sign of something bigger going on?
Just dropped me off at my apartment right after going and applying to places. I've applied to about 50 places, called all of them back, desperately trying to get a job. Most of them haven't even given me an interview. I've had one interview. No one else will even let me have an interview. They just keep denying my application. And I told her, I was like, the issue isn't people not wanting to work. The issue is employers not wanting to hire people. I desperately need a job. I am desperately looking for a job. I have been unemployed for a week. That is a long time for me. I live alone. I can't afford to not have a job. Well, she told me, she was like, it's because you can believe whatever you believe, but you can't talk about it at work. And I'm like, if people are being misogynistic to me at work, I'm going to stand up for myself. I got fired for standing up for myself because I don't shut up about it. If somebody's treating me badly, I'm going to speak up about it because I don't deserve disrespect.
I need y'all to be so real with me. Is it even possible to get jobs right now? It's been almost 4 months now. I'm rigorously applying to jobs. I am overqualified for half the jobs I'm applying for, and I'm not even getting emails back. I'm not even getting confirmation that these people have even looked at my resume. I'm somebody who has a full-blown degree, several years of experience. I've been working in really high-value jobs since like 2018. Genuinely feels like if you're applying for jobs, you're basically just applying to win the lottery. So defeating. It feels like you're constantly being told that you're not good enough, and there's never a conversation about what made you not a fit for the role. Instead, it's just AI-generated emails that probably hundreds of people are receiving. I used to think that the only way to get jobs was to have connections and know people who already work at the jobs you're applying for, but even that is not true.
So what do you do if you are long-term unemployed and you just can't get work? Meaning that your past 3 months, your unemployment has run out, or your past 6 months, 9 months, whatever it happens to be. Believe it or not, guys, I make a ton of HR content. I have people message me every day and DM me and like, Matt, I haven't been able to find a job for 6 to 9 months and I don't know what to do. I apply for a dozen jobs every day. I apply on the weekends. I'm so sick of filling out the same information over and over. If I get an interview, there's a ton of candidates. It's fought for. They're not paying that much. Like, what do we do in this terrible job market that we have in 2025? So this is not going to be something that's easily digestible for everybody because people are going to get mad at some of my answers. I don't care, because honestly, what I'm trying to do in this video is help people that are long-term unemployed. So I won't go in depth into what you need to do differently in your job search because I have 100 other videos, I have 476 videos on my pages that you can go down and figure out how to do your resume, how to do your LinkedIn, how to apply on all the major job networks, everything. You can go find all that stuff on my pages. So instead, I'm going to focus on what the people that are long-term unemployed, so more than 6 months, can do in order to find some kind of income. So first of all, we're going to look at gig economy. That's Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, DoorDash. Those are the basic ones that most people know about, and anybody with a car with their registration current and their driver's license can do. So you can do those now if you're unable to find, any kind of work just for some type of income, especially if your unemployment has run out. So if I was in this position and I was 6 months plus unemployed, I'd be driving for Uber like 8 hours a day. And then the other things I will have are things that are not as well talked about and well known, but they're still very effective. You can also drive for medical delivery companies. Those are often much more than Uber and Lyft, but they require some prerequisites to get into. You've got to do some more kind of applying, going through their program, getting everything registered, all that kind of stuff in order to be okay to do like medical delivery, like, pick up different stuff, different diagnostics, all that type of stuff. That's another option. Another option is temp agencies. Temporary agencies, they've really gotten a bad name over the last several years, but many people that I've gotten through temp agencies over the years in HR have worked out to be very long-term employees that have done really well and have been hired on full-time. So I wouldn't look at it as just it's a temp job. Look at it as it's a foot in the door. And then if you do get in, a temp agency sends you to some place for work, get in there and kill it. Work your ass off and make contact. And at the point where it's coming up to be about a month, be like, hey, I just want to let you guys know I'm really happy for the opportunity and I'll stay here and work as a temp as long as you need me. But if you guys have a full-time role for me, I would love to take it because I am absolutely looking for long-term employment. And that's a real way you can get into. The last one is one that I haven't seen utilized a lot. And that is that if you can go onto, I know people will crap on this, but people that have figured this out are doing really well. Go onto the dog walking apps, but specifically the ones that also have house sitting, and go on all the house sitting apps. Now, the reason that house sitting is incredible is usually these are wealthier people that will pay for this. and it's several $100s a week just to go to their house a couple of times a day or to stay at their house and watch their house while they're gone. Well, people that are snowbirds that have like 2 homes that go back and forth and just want somebody there at certain times, like run the water in the house, keep an eye on things, or people that are wealthy and want their pets looked after. So I'm not just saying like regular dog walking, so like Wag and Rover, those are money that you can make too from apps. But those are small amounts of money generally. But really, to look at the long-term projects, like a person's going out of town for 3 days, they've got 3 dogs, they just want somebody to come and stay at their house for the dogs, that's several $100s of income. Now, I will teach you a tip that most people don't think about as well, and that is that if you're a fully remote worker, you can do house sitting, so you're getting paid for your remote work and you're getting paid for house sitting at the same time. If you don't have children, or you can work it out with your partner if you do, and you can get coverage for parenting, you can go and house sit at someone's home while you're working. Just get on their Wi-Fi, sit and work. That's it. And you can sit and take their dog for 2 walks a day and play with them, feed them treats, and sit there on your laptop and work and make double money. So you're making money from your job and you're making money from the house sitting at the same time. So house sitting and dog sitting are slept on. Of course, there's other methods out there for people to do. There's survey sites you can go online and make some money from. There's also people that if you can talk to the camera, you can make several social media videos per day and make money off of that from things like, all the different platforms have different rewards programs. But that's a smaller subset of people that are able or willing to do that. But really, I would Uber or Lyft for 8+ hours a day while spending maybe 2 hours a night, or Uber or Lyft for 6 hours a day and then spend 2 hours a day applying, because really, is there going to be that many new jobs every day that you can apply for? Or you can split it 4 and 4, but at least have some income coming in, and then I would house or dog sit as much as I could in the meantime to make extra money. That's a way at least you can get some extra money in. And if you're over 6 months, I said we all have to swallow our pride sometimes. I would go into every temp agency I would find, sign up there, get temped out, and try to make it into a full-time job as much as possible. I hope this helps some people. If you have other methods that people should be using in order to make money if they're long-term unemployed, please let people know. And like I said, check out the other videos if you want to look at the best tips to get hired if you're struggling in this job market.
Why can't we get by in this country anymore just working one fucking job like our parents and grandparents did? But when did survival become a group project? Everybody's so quick to yell, just work harder, grind more, pick a side hustle. But the real question is, why the hell should we have to? Why is one full-time job no longer enough to afford food, rent, and peace of mind? Why are we working 50, 60 hours a week away from our families and, still checking our bank apps like we committed a crime? Why is owning a home now treated like some luxury fantasy instead of the bare minimum of our parents achieved with a high school diploma and a single paycheck? Why are people forced to DoorDash after 10-hour shifts just to afford eggs, gas, and maybe prescription medicine, maybe even diapers? Why do people celebrate people working for themselves into exhaustion, but shame them for admitting they're struggling? Why do we keep pretending this is normal? You shouldn't need a second job to just keep your head above water. You shouldn't have to burn out just to barely get by. Why is everything rising except our wages? This isn't laziness. This isn't lack of ambition. I mean, this is like a system designed to drain you and convince you that it's your fault. I mean, it's not your fault. You're not behind. We're being buried alive and then told to be grateful for the dirt.
I think a lot of people are finally realizing that the curtain has been completely pulled back. We have been sold a lie. We have been sold a dream that the social contract that if you go to work, you get a job, you go to college or whatever, you do the right thing, you're going to get ahead in life. And I think we're finally realizing that this is just not the case. The American dream of buying a house, of getting a home, of having a stable job, all of that is out the window. And our generation has had to come up with life hacks and really unconventional ways of earning money and finding ways to live in ways that earlier generations and our parents, I don't think they quite understand, right? Because when they were growing up, the system works for you if you work it, right? But nowadays, it's not like that anymore. And finding jobs is just not a reality. I worked for almost 10 years and I can't even find a job. So it's almost like we have to start our own businesses and we have to find unconventional ways of living, and it sucks.
I've been applying for jobs going on 9 months. I've got exactly 2 interviews. One interview was for a job that the role got canceled, never heard back from them. The other interview was for something way above what I was trying to get, and I believe that that job was canceled as well. So how are people working right now? What's going on with jobs, hiring? Is anything happening? Is anybody getting callbacks or interviews or anything? Because I've got 2 degrees and I've worked in middle management. I've been working since 1989, but I've worked in middle management, lower management, entry level, and I can't even get a call back from an entry level job. So that's letting me know something is going on, like something ain't right with the hiring, with these tariffs, with something. The companies don't want to hire people. People aren't going to find jobs right now. Unemployment is not going to cover everything for people. So how are people living? How are people affording healthcare and rent and car notes? Like, for me, fortunately, I was able to have a savings. So I've been living off my savings, but even still, it comes a point when you have to start selling your things and going out and doing stuff, and it ain't desirable. So how are people surviving right now? Am I the only one that hasn't been able to get any callbacks, or are jobs just not hiring because of the economy, because of the state of the country? Like, what's going on out there with everybody? Is everybody okay? Is anybody else getting hired, callbacks? Y'all let me know what you think. Let me know what's going on.
Nearly 25% of Americans, which is 85 million people in this country, are either non-employed because they can't get a job, or they are functionally unemployed, which means they are in a job that doesn't pay for their bills and they're under the poverty level. The Ludwig Institute for Shared Economic Prosperity has been following this for the past couple of months, and while the unemployment rate, completely unemployed people, has been at 4.3% for the past 3 months, the American government keeps saying that there's more jobs being introduced. However, the tariffs and the trade war are directly impacting these companies from being able to hire people, as they don't know about their business and financial future. It's completely unforeseen. That means 85 million people in this country are either below the poverty line at the job that they work now, and or they are unemployed and they can't afford to feed their family, they're homeless, and they can't do anything about it because our president does nothing but engage in trade war antics that are not helping the American people. That is nearly 1 in 4 Americans cannot afford to live, and or they do not have a job.
I can't get a fucking job because I can't speak English in my own goddamn country. I was at Ross and they have a for hire sign that they were hiring. So when I was checking out, I was talking to the associate. I said, "Oh, I see that you're hiring." She's like, "Yeah." I go, "Well, I'm looking for a position." She goes, "Wonderful. Do you speak Spanish?" I said, "Well, no, I only speak English." "Oh, well, this is a Spanish-speaking community. We're really looking for someone that can speak Spanish." I go, "Bitch, I live in this community." I've been out of a job for over 2 years now. I think I finally come to the conclusion of why I can't find a job. I don't speak Spanish. So someone told me, you need to go to Indeed or Monster Jobs. That's where the jobs are. So I go, I'm looking, and required. Why have I lived here my whole freaking life and I can't get a job because I don't speak Spanish? Another one. How to speak Spanish. I was at the clothing department store. We needed to try on some clothes. We go over to the fitting rooms and there's a lady there and we ask, "Oh, we need to get in one of the rooms." She looks at me, "Oh, no, Espanol only." And she points to a lady clear across on the other side to help us. Okay, so why you only speak Spanish? You speak no English. You have a job, but yet I speak English, no Spanish, in a English-speaking country, and I can't get a job. My nephew, he gets a job at Burger King. Day 2, he comes home from his lunch and he says he's not going back. And I said, "Well, we're not going back." He goes, "I can't communicate with anybody there. They only speak Spanish. Half the people can't speak English and they only communicate in Spanish." That is not right. If you're here in America and you get a job, it must be speaking English speaking only. What is the deal here? I can't get a fucking job because I can't speak English in my own goddamn country. So, can someone teach me Spanish?
You see people who are sort of more at the margins, so kids coming out of college and younger people, minorities are having a hard time finding jobs. The overall job finding rate is very, very low. However, the layoff rate is also very low. So you've got a low firing, low hiring environment. And the concern is that if you start to see layoffs, the people who are laid off there won't be a lot of hiring going on. So that could very quickly flow into higher unemployment. In a healthier economy, healthier labor market, there would be jobs for those people. But now the hiring rate is very, very low. So that's been a growing concern over the last few months, and it's one of the reasons why we think it's appropriate that we begin to shift our policy focus toward a more balanced one.
Perhaps the biggest nightmare is the looming new industrial revolution.
The erosion of the middle class.
Listen, let's talk about something today, y'all. Normally I'm on YouTube with my videos, but I've decided to come over to TikTok. and share some of my videos over here. So anyway, one thing I want to talk to you guys about today is the fact that there are no jobs in America right now. Like, they're saying that there are all these jobs. Trust me, there are no jobs. Okay? The only people getting hired for jobs are, excuse my French, migrants, aka the illegal kind, and felons, okay? Because they have to hire felons. Like, it's legally, they have to hire felons now. Also, with migrants, it's much cheaper to hire migrants for labor than it is to hire someone like myself. But I've been looking for a job. Many people that I know have been looking for a job. There is a labor shortage. They keep saying that there are all these crazy jobs in America and everybody's doing so well. And like, no. There's not a whole bunch of jobs in America. Why do you think everybody's selling feet pics and doing OnlyFans? Okay? I myself even do OF. Like, because at this point, it's like OnlyFans or be homeless. Like, there's really no other option. Especially when you're a single parent, you're a single mom, you got priorities. And when I say single moms, like, I have a kid whose father is not in the picture, so I have to provide all of the needs for my child. And I don't have anybody to watch my kid. I mean, during the day they go to school. Yeah, so I've been trying to look for a job during the day where I could work during the daytime. Okay? Because I'm not going to just put my kid off on someone else. You know, if you're not her dad at the end of the day, I'm not going to put her off on you. I'm not going to ask my parents to watch my kid or anything like that. So my kid does go to school during the daytime. Now, when my kid isn't in school, which is from the late afternoon throughout the evening, those are the hours that they want you to work. I've been trying to find a job and I'm telling them I'm available 7 days a week during the day. And I'm still not finding anything. They're looking for somebody who can close, who can work nights, who can be on call, who can work every weekend. And if you have kids at home, it's almost impossible for you to do that unless you have like a full-time nanny or somebody who lives with you who can take care of the kids. Now, I have an older kid, but I'm not the type of mom to push my older kid to watch my kids for me because that makes kids very resentful. And quite frankly, I resent not having a life growing up sometimes because I had to watch my younger siblings a lot. So, therefore, plus I have an older son. Like, boys are not, I don't trust boys with babysitting small children. Like, that's just irresponsible. They like to do shit and be all over the place. Excuse my language, but they like to be all over the place doing things and playing video games and on their phone and TikToking with their friends and everything else and not paying attention to the kids. So therefore, I've been unable to find a job. Many people that I know, unable to find a job. So it's just very frustrating because especially when you see people who are here that have many people living in their households and who can work any hours of the day and night for less than what they would pay a American citizen. And it's just like very frustrating. Like, I'm not mad at the people who own the corporations because they're just trying to get in where they fit in. I heard something, it scared me. But yeah, they're just trying to get in where they fit in. You know, they're trying to save money and make the best of their opportunities. But for the people like me, for the average American citizen who didn't already have a job when this big explosion came, it's like, what are we to do? How are we to feed our families? Like, can you relate or no?
Would you look at that? Long-term unemployment is at a post-pandemic high, meaning people who have been out of work for more than 6 months. What does that align with? Somebody taking office in January? Go figure, huh? This is actually the highest it's been since the Great Recession. 1 in 4 people who are unemployed have not been able to get a job in the last 6 months. That means that they're less likely to find a job, period. 2014 studies show that the longer you are out of the market, the more contacts you lose, and the more likely you are to entirely drop out of the job market. Also, confidence in being able to find a job is at an all-time low. Never been another period in which Americans felt this horrible about securing a new job, and I don't blame them. They're saying over 100,000 jobs have already been lost this month. 22,000 jobs were created in the entire month of August. You could fit all of the new employees in a small basketball arena. Yeah, the bottom is about to fall out, MAGA. And y'all wanted to declare civil war against the people who are making the only meaningful economic contributions here. Smart idea. We go, the entire country goes. We are the proverbial little Dutch boy holding our finger in the dam right now. But that dam is about to burst no matter what we do. Well done.
So the job market is actually more cooked than I anticipated. There's now more unemployed Americans than there is actual jobs available. That is a horrible stat to see. And, media will say it's because Gen Z is lazy, it's because of DEI, it's because of illegal immigrants. In my opinion, it's none of that. All of that is just BS garbage that they want to, distract you with. The real reason is the rampant outsourcing. And here's my thing about outsourcing is like I don't mind it because the whole purpose of it all was to be able to recruit and hire top talent across the globe, which is great. But the problem is they're now abusing it. They're now taking it to the next level, which is they're just using it to save money and cut corners, make sure that the shareholders are happy. Like the money is not like this whole concept of trickle down economics is completely broken now because of how much outsourcing is being done. Yeah, I feel like something I've mentioned this in previous videos, but I feel like this is just absolutely frustrating to see. Like, you know, and here's the thing about people say, "Oh, why don't you just work jobs that are?" Dude, listen, the cost of living in America is just way too high. Like especially if you want to raise a family, like you're going to have to find a job that pays well enough, and most of those jobs that pay well enough are skilled labor jobs, like white collar jobs. I honestly might, it might be at a point where you might have to start considering trade work or working in healthcare, which are least likely to be outsourced in my opinion. So if you are young, I don't know. Hopefully something changes. Honestly, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to stay optimistic on this. Hopefully, people start pointing their fingers in the right direction and keeping corporations accountable, keeping politicians accountable for their actions and their promises. It's not looking good, man.
All right, y'all. No, it's not looking good. And the bottom line is, even when you go back and look at depressions, this is the first thing that happened. People start losing jobs, almost like hemorrhaging job loss. And that's going on right now. Right now, there are more people getting fired and laid off than people getting hired. And it doesn't help that you got a president that loves to do mass firings. And I think that sets a horrible example in this country because what it does, it has a domino effect. If your heads of corporations see your president don't have any problems letting people go in mass numbers, then they're going to start doing it. So right now, Trump in his administration keeps trying to say the jobs are there. Y'all, the jobs are not there. They're not. And this happened, this began in Trump's first administration. That's when this major decline happened. Remember, the lockdown happened under Donald Trump. And from that point on, it has never, America can't seem to get on her feet when it comes down to jobs, and now they're getting ready to cut people from SNAP, cut people from Medicaid, raise Medicare, and it's going to get worse. The more you start messing with people's livelihoods, it's going to get worse out here. You know, I want y'all to think about it. They've been doing the No King's March. And it's been a big participation because a lot of these people aren't doing nothing else with their lives. They're not working. Yeah, you can gather 7 million people when probably a good chunk of the crowd ain't even working right now. So, yeah, they got so much time on their hands. Yeah, they can have a huge march like that. So, if you are having a hard time, yeah, consider going to a workshop and getting advice on possibly even starting your own business. That's what happened during the other lockdown under Donald Trump. They said it was a record number of people in our community that got business license. In fact, 12 Tribes on Earth was formed in 2021 during the lockdown. That's when I made that business a corporation. Now, I didn't start then, but I did obtain the name 12 Tribes on Earth and I incorporated it. And that was during the C-19 lockdown. And a lot of our people did that. And I would say if you can incorporate a name, do it, even if you can't do much with the business for now, because you never know. Somewhere down the line, you might be able to get up and running with something that you want to do. It doesn't hurt to at least have it and just keep it in reserve until you are able to run a business for yourself. There's enough room for everybody, y'all. Don't ever think there isn't when it comes down to small business. There's enough room for everyone. It really, truly is. That's why a lot of people, even that are working now, are looking for side hustles. Look at all the federal employees. Many of them are now looking for work. And many of them are looking for a side hustle until the government opens back up. And you just can't trust politicians these days. You can't. And they don't care about what you stand to lose with this government being locked down. They don't care. They don't care. And they also don't care if your kids are going hungry. They don't care about nobody out here right now, and they never will. You got to understand, as long as their pockets are swelling with all the money, they don't care about everybody else. Remember, we got the people running this country are morally bankrupt. They lack empathy. They are apathetic to everything. So you can't expect a helping hand from those kind of people because you won't get it. So, y'all, hang tight. Stay close with the Most High and try to get through your days the best that you can, especially if you're not working. But don't give up. Keep looking for work. And again, consider a side hustle. Go online and look for some gigs that you can do to generate income. The last time I was unemployed, I took on writing jobs. I wrote for several different websites, and I was with the publication don't exist anymore, but I got hired to write for a publication. And the more stories I did, the more I got paid. So I was doing like 3, 4 stories per day for this publication. And it wasn't much, but I was landing about 1,000 a week. And I did that during the time I was unemployed until I was able to get employed again. So, if you can take up some time to write, get on Newsbreak. Newsbreak is always looking for writers. You don't have to interview for that, but you have to do so many postings before they will monetize you. Just understand that. But it's not hard to reach that. I think I had reached it in like a month. So it's not hard to reach it. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I do have another story coming up at 4:45. So I hope to see you then. I want to thank Douglas Legger for your super sticker. James Mitchell, 3727. Thank you so much for your super sticker and support for my channel. And G. Bowman Jr., thank you for your super chat. Caesar Nero played the fiddle metaphor when Rome first burned. Yes. And thank you for your support for my channel. Oh, definitely. Definitely. So, y'all, please enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I will see you at 4:45. Shalom, family.